Hello fellow makeup lovers, how are you guys doing? Today we're going to do a full comparison with the GlamLite Mikayla palette. I almost just dropped it there, but I saw so many people talking about how this color story is a very similar color story to the GlamLite Ice Cream Dreams palette, and I just wanted to go ahead and do a full video comparing the two, showing how similar they are. In my personal opinion, without us watching everything yet, I feel like they do have very similar vibes, and you could probably get similar looks even if the shades aren't all exactly the same. And then I also pulled out the GlamLite Cake palette because I feel like this is another one of their really well-known palettes, and I thought we could also do some comparisons to the Mikayla palette if there's anything super similar. So before we start doing color comparisons, as far as this palette goes, I did just want to say, I know I heard that the launch for this was a little bit of a mess and that people are having to wait a really long time to get their palettes. I know I waited a little while even though I ordered on launch day, so that is something to keep in mind. And then also as far as the formula goes, I feel like the shimmers in here are a very similar formula to other things that GlamLite has done, but the mattes are a little bit more soft, a little bit more powdery. So I've seen mixed feelings about those. I haven't personally had any issues, but they are different. So the size of the palettes is pretty much the same. They're both 5x6 rows, and you can see they both have that pop of warm neutrals, and then they both have pops of pastel, lots of pops of purple, and then a little pop of pink. I feel like the pops of blues and greens are probably the most different, but definitely a lot of similarities. So starting off, there's two neutral browns in here. I feel like those don't really have anything super close, but then we have the shade Gemini, which is a mid-tone warm brown. I'm gonna compare that to the shade Peanut Butter. Okay, Peanut Butter is a little bit darker. So I'm actually gonna go ahead and also swatch this shade called Hot Cocoa. Okay, so there's those three browns. I guess I would say Peanut Butter is a little bit more cool toned. I'm gonna go ahead and swatch How You Doing. Okay, so the browns are all different. Here's Gemini, Peanut Butter, Hot Cocoa, and How You Doing. So I guess I would say that the closest comparison here is How You Doing and Peanut Butter are pretty similar. Next, for comparison's sake, there's a bunch of different gold and bronzy shadows, so I'm gonna kind of swatch them all together. We've got What's Poppin', Glow Up, Accent, and Cookie. I'm gonna swatch from here. So we've got a gold, a rose gold, a champagne, and a dark bronze. You can see those all look super pretty, super sparkly. So out of this palette, we're gonna go ahead and do Salted Caramel, Rocky Road. I'm not gonna do Pecan Praline because that one's super copper. We've got Cookie Dough, which I'll do, and then Strawberry Cheesecake. So here's all those. So I would say out of all the bronzy shades, there's definitely a bit of variety. These two look similar, and then this rose gold is just a little bit more orangey than this one. I thought those were gonna be closer. Next, I'm gonna go back here and compare the darkest shade in the palette, Willow, to the darkest shade in the Ice Cream Dreams palette. I definitely think Willow's quite a bit darker than Chocolate. Yeah. Very different. All right, so there's what those two look like. I think we can do Buffalo Chicken, and we're gonna compare that to Pumpkin and Butter Pecan to see. Okay, yeah. I mean, I guess I would say Buffalo Chicken and Pumpkin look similar. Buffalo Chicken's just a little bit more neon. Let's see. Yeah, so Buffalo Chicken, Pumpkin, that's one of those things here where I was they look very similar vibes. Not the exact same, but I feel like if you use both of those in your crease, you're gonna get the same kind of look. And actually, you know what? I am gonna go ahead and do Simba, because I just realized there's something I wanna compare that to. Orange Cream. Yeah, Simba's just a touch darker, but again, very similar. Okay. Simba and Orange Cream. So there's most of the neutrals. I'm gonna wipe that off so we can go ahead and start comparing the colors. I think I wanna go ahead and start out with the pink, so I'm gonna do the shade Iconic. And then we have two options here. I feel like we could do Bubblegum, which is a little bit, yeah, definitely a little bit more pastel. And then we also have Raspberry. Oh yeah, those are pretty similar. Right, so that's Micaela. There's the ice cream and ice cream. So these two, super similar. We also have a really beautiful metallic pink here. So that is the shade Simping, and we're gonna compare it to Strawberry. Very similar. Strawberry might be just a touch darker, but like formula-wise, like they were hyping up the shimmers to be uber different, and I just feel like they look very similar. So there's Simping and there's Strawberry. Simping has like a little bit more of like a light pink reflect, but their base is the same. Their sparkles are the same. Now let's go ahead and do some purples. We have this shade here, Manifest, which is like a purpley silver. I don't know that I have anything quite like that. I kind of want to compare it to the shade Gelato, but okay, yeah, Gelato is definitely a bit more purple. So there's those two. And then I'm also just gonna quickly swatch the three darker purples here. So we've got Immaculate, New Beige, and Portage. I'm gonna swatch those in comparison. I'm just gonna do Taro and then Blueberry Cheesecake just to show the purples. I think that's about it there. Okay. So there's Taro, which, I mean, the color looks very similar to this one. Also have this purple shimmer called Naz, which is like one of the prettiest shimmers, and there's nothing similar to that at all. So let's go ahead and do the mattes now. We've got MJ here, which is like a pastel purple. I compare that to Honey Lavender. Yeah, not exactly the same. Honey Lavender looks a little bit more like it has like a touch more blue to it, but very similar. And then I guess one of the major differences here would be that there are two different like deeper purple options as well, which you do not have in this palette. So now getting into the blues and the greens and stuff, I mean, there's not that much that's similar. There is the shade The Best Color, which is like a light minty shade. So we can swatch that, but it's, I feel like it's different than the pastels. Here, we can compare that to Mint Chocolate, but I don't know, you can see they're definitely quite different. I'm gonna go ahead and do Pistachio and compare that to Loop. Again, as you can see, quite different. So the only thing left I can really think to compare is the two yellows. So we have Handy and Mango. You can see from that swatch right there just how different the formulas are, because the color looks almost the same, but Handy's so much more powdery. So yeah, those two are spot on. So there are all of the color comparisons. Like I said, definitely, again, I still feel like very similar vibes. I'd be super curious to hear if you think that they're too similar for you, or if you could justify owning both, or if not, just what your take is on it. I would say that overall, like if you're trying to choose between the two palettes, that the Ice Cream Dreams palette definitely has more pastel options and overall a lot more light shimmers, which makes me more drawn to this one. And then the Mikayla palette definitely has a little bit more of a pop of neutral. There's definitely deeper shimmers, deeper mattes. So I think that it's just personal preference. And the last funny comparison I just wanted to draw between these two is that when they both came out, I saw people say for both palettes that they wish they had just the bottom 3 rows. Okay, so now quickly I just want to go through and do comparisons between the Mikayla palette and the Cake palette, which these are, I mean, definitely a little bit different. The Cake palette is more of just like your traditional rainbow palette, but I feel like you have those pops of your traditional rainbow palette in here, so I just want to see how close they are. Just going through, Banana, we don't have anything similar. Pineapple, bright yellow, we're going to compare that to Handy. So there's those two. So Handy's actually a little bit brighter. We've got Strawberry, which is like a deep pink. Don't really have anything to compare there. Lavender, I'm gonna compare to Immaculate. Yeah, I mean, Lavender's got a little bit more of that blue shift. Got Blueberry, which is a really dark purple. So I'm gonna compare that to Portage. Portage is definitely a different formula. Super, super sparkly. Next we have the shade Guava, which I'm super curious to compare. The shade Glow Up. You know what? Guava is so much more pink. And they have like the similar kind of base going on. But yeah, okay. Nope, not similar at all. So some of these mattes, again, nothing really similar. Peach, Cranberry, I feel like those are a little bit too bright. We've got Ube, which I'm gonna compare to MJ. Different tones. Okay, next I'm gonna go ahead and compare Purple Frost to the shade Pot 2. Pot 2 is a lot more purple, and Purple Frost, it has more pink to it. Let me go ahead and do Frisky as well. Okay, actually, you know what? Frisky and Purple Frost are a lot more similar. Right. We've got Carrot, which is a bright orange, nothing really to compare. Raspberry, which is too hot of a pink. Red Velvet, a true red, no. We've got these two like bluey green shades, but they're really not similar. If you look at the blues and the greens, they're just completely different tones. We've got Dulce de Leche, which I will definitely compare to, let's say, I think Hot Cocoa. Okay, Hot Cocoa has a little bit more brown to it. So I guess I'll go ahead and do the shade Cinnamon, which this is one of my favorites because it's just like a gold, but it's super sparkly, super creamy, has like a little bit of like a green shift to it. It's just perfection. And I'm gonna compare that to the Golden Hair What's Poppin'. So personally, I think the one in the Cake palette is prettier and more sparkly. We'll put it right here. So there's Cake and there's Micaela. We've got the shade Chocolate here, which I'm not even gonna compare to Willow because Willow's so much more purple, and Chocolate's kind of a dead in this palette. I feel like it doesn't want to pick up very well. We've got Blue Raspberry, which is just kind of like a cobalt bright blue. Again, no shimmers to really compare. And then Key Lime is just like a bright green. So I would say that between the Cake palette and the Mikayla palette, there's like a few similarities, but definitely a lot more differences. So those are all the comparisons for today's video. I really hope that this was helpful for y'all, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.